Are you into comic book collecting? Are you thinking about getting into comic book collecting? Because if you are, you gotta download Key Collector Comics, utilize the code TOM101, and unlock yourself a free 1-week subscription of the best comic app in existence. This app is regularly being filled and updated with valuable data and news in the industry that's moving so rapidly. It will save you time and money and will keep you informed on all things comics. Enjoy your video. Let's chat the comic books that are making WandaVision. In October 1968, in the pages of Avengers 57, we see an android on the cover painted in red for the first time. Behold the Vision. Side note, this also may be the first time we see kids get introduced to drinking protein shakes. Gotta get to those gains early, I guess. But I digress, because back in November of 2020, this book in high grade, the condition of the book was near flawless, sold for $26,400, an all new record. And you know it's because of the Vision making an appearance in Wandavision. This investment is only bound to grow as the comics get older and more individuals are actively hunting for comic books to collect, but also to read, because the Marvel Universe is expanding so rapidly. Wanda Maximoff, otherwise known as the Scarlet Witch, every week is creating and maintaining an entire pocket universe, causing an all-out ruckus to display on screen weekly for us. We are seeing for the first time ever an entire Marvel universe expand faster than anyone could have predicted. When an episode finishes and you just have been assaulted by so many Easter eggs and shout-outs to the comics, at the end of that show, that's when the comic hunting begins. I do shows on YouTube every single week about comics and collectibles over at ComicTom101, and it is essential for me to stay up on all my comics, as well as being an informed viewer. And real talk, I want to piece the puzzles together before anyone else. No better place to start than the comic books, especially with things like first appearances of characters that are hitting the screen. In 1963, in the pages of X-Men #4, we are introduced to the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver for the very first time. But they were part of a villain group, the Brotherhood of Evil, that was run by X-Men's largest villain and their father, Magneto. Now, this participation in villainy was short-lived because it was only done out of a debt that they felt they owed to Magneto for taking them in at a time of crisis. What a nice guy. He's family. It's what you do. And family is a big focus in the narratives of not just WandaVision, but the solicitations of upcoming Marvel shows that are going to be debuting on Disney+. Could Grandpa Magneto be paying our characters a visit at some point in the future? It's what a lot of comic book collectors are hoping for. Even if narratives are different in comic books, they tend to follow some resemblance of accuracy to the original scripts. Let's take a look at West Coast Avengers 45, for example. This is another classic, iconic cover featuring a colorless version of the Vision for the first time, because this is his rebirth story. Vision is reassembled, but he's not normal. We find that the Vision needs his original brain patterns to return fully. And this is a story that dives deep into that history and the ramifications of that quest. It's clear that the return of Vision in WandaVision has ties directly and in a somewhat unstable way to Scarlet Witch's magic and control over her new reality. And this is exactly the narrative that is challenged and tackled in the comic book as well. We knew Vision was going to be coming back to the MCU, but we didn't know to what extent, and we're finding out by the week. What other books are related to show possibilities? Because there are a bunch. Let's take a look at the Vision and Scarlet Witch, issue number 12. The Vision is an android and he's unable to reproduce. And in the comics, Wanda's magic and reality warping powers is what makes it possible for them to have their twins. Does that sound familiar? Even Doctor Strange's powers weren't strong enough for an accurate ultrasound because he and the rest of the team thought that Wanda was only pregnant with one child, and they were all surprised when she gave birth to twins. Now, this is an exciting time for our heroes, but it's short-lived after Agatha Harkness, the witch from the Salem witch trials, the mentor of Scarlet Witch, relays her concerns about the offspring that should not be, knowing that they will cause trouble to our protagonists. And they do in the comics. Could the noisy neighbor played by Kathryn Hahn be Agatha Harkness? Because that is what collectors have been speculating on since the debut of the show. Scarlet Witch has one of the most powerful and dangerous minds in the Marvel Universe. So this struggle balancing a family is the center of multiple narratives that are still felt in comic books today. No better example than the ramifications from House of M issue #1. We even saw a little bit of a shout out on the wine bottle in the early episodes of WandaVision, because it's in this comic book written by Brian Michael Bendis where we see Wanda create an entire alternate reality with her powers after she was brought to the breaking point from mental anguish. Comic fans rejoiced when they saw that wine bottle shouting out House of M, and it's clear that this added layer of context from the comics adds a whole extra layer of value to the show that we're experiencing weekly. And that brings us to 2006 in the pages of Young Avengers issue #10 to talk about, because it's here where we see Tommy Shepard for the first time since infancy, and 2 issues later, taking on the moniker of Speed, utilizing his powers, and joining the Avengers battle cry, Avengers Assemble, for the first time. With the creation of the twins in Westview, comic fans are hoping they will continue to mature just like they did in the comics and become Young Avengers. Where is this all heading? What could be the future of this show? This video is about the comics that are creating WandaVision. The show is still evolving, as is the Marvel Universe. One direction the show may go could be found in the narrative in 1986's West Coast Avengers issue #4, where the villain Master Pandemonium steals the souls of the twins. I mentioned Young Avengers 10, where Tommy Shepard is appearing for the first time since infancy, because it's in this comic in 1986 where we last saw him, where he disappeared for decades. Wanda's misfortune of having trouble maintaining her family's sector has been the focus of multiple villains in Marvel history, and some that we hope to see as comic fans potentially hit the screen. A villain that we hope to see, that we may see, debuts in Silver Surfer issue #3 for the first time, and we're talking about Marvel's devil, Mephisto. A villain who has had multiple narratives in the comic books attached to the twins and Wanda and Vision alike. Another villain that we may see is Chthon, the first dark magician, the antithesis of how Doctor Strange utilizes his magic. And this character debuts in Avengers 186 for the first time by possessing Scarlet Witch, and later in comics has also possessed Quicksilver. Curious. With the first Marvel show on Disney Plus, we are being introduced to so many new characters, and the future is uncertain for most of them. However, some we are just waiting on to have their inevitable rise to superhero. And I'm talking about Monica Rambeau. But which superhero will she become? She has been multiple superheroes in comic book continuity. She makes her debut as the new Captain Marvel in Amazing Spider-Man Annual #16. Could we be seeing a replacement of Captain Marvel? I don't see that happening. However, something I do see happening could be found in Avengers Unplugged issue #5, where she takes on the moniker of Photon. Now, if you remember, in Captain Marvel, the movie, her mother nicknamed her plane Photon. Could this little Easter egg be fan service, or could this be foreshadowing who Monica Rambeau will become in the future? But if you want to get out of Westview, take a look at the Marvel Studios category on Key Collector, where all the other Disney Plus shows are being categorized and comics are being updated to for your enjoyment. Thanks for watching, and geek responsibly.